Welcome to And Beneath It, Part 2 of 4. Marcus drove to 4 Shule Lane before sunrise. He had not been inside the house since his mother's funeral, and the walk up the path from the road felt longer than he remembered, the gravel wet and black under the fog, the old cedar shingles dark with moisture. He used his key. The door swung open and breathed cold salt air at him. The house was exactly as she had left it. Dishes stacked clean, a mug with the handle facing out the way she always positioned it. The calendar on the kitchen wall still turned to the month she died, and Marcus looked at it for a long moment before pulling his eyes away. He sat down at the kitchen table with the document and read every condition for the second time. There were 7. The first 3 were administrative: transfer of deed, maintenance of the boat slip at Pier 4, responsibility for the moorings of vessels numbered 1 through 8. Marcus had barely absorbed this before he understood what it meant. The 8 boats, he was now responsible for them. He was, according to this document, their keeper. The 4th condition stopped him cold. It read the keeper must descend to the lower chamber on each of the 3 nights following the reading, before the tide reaches the first marker stone, and must leave the offered plate at the threshold. Marcus set the paper down on the table. He looked at the kitchen floor. The house at 4 Shule Lane had no basement. He had grown up here. He had played in every corner of this building from age 6 to age 18. There was a crawl space beneath the kitchen, barely enough room to run pipes, with a hatch he had never once seen opened. He pulled the kitchen rug aside. The hatch was there, a square cut in the floorboards, fitted flush, with an iron ring recessed into the wood. The wood around it was dark and worn smooth from recent use. Marcus knelt down and pressed his palm flat against the hatch. It was cold, colder than the floor around it, and through his palm, faint as a held breath, he felt it, a rhythmic vibration, like something below breathing. He did not open it. Not yet. Instead, he went to his mother's bedroom and opened the closet, because the 5th condition had mentioned a ledger, and it had told him exactly where to find it. On the top shelf, behind a shoebox of old photographs, he found it, a hardcover notebook, black, with the years spanning from nearly 30 years ago to 14 months before she died. Her handwriting filled every page. He took it to the kitchen table and read for 2 hours. His mother had not discovered the thing beneath the house. She had inherited it the same way he now had. Her own mother before her had kept the arrangement, and her mother's mother before that. The ledger named them going back 4 generations, all women of the same family, all keepers of the same covenant made originally by a man named Casimir Vale, who had come to Harrow Point as a fisherman in the early 1900s and had struck something in the water on a stormy night. Something enormous and patient and very old. Casimir had not killed it. He had fed it, and in exchange the sea gave back. No Vale had ever drowned. The fishing fleet that carried the Vale name had always come home heavy with catch. The town had prospered quietly, without ever asking too many questions about why the Vale boats always found the fish. But the ledger also described what happened to the fleet captains who learned too much. 3 of them, across the decades, had confronted Marcus's grandmother about what they had seen on the night voyages. None of the 3 had been seen again. His grandmother had written about it without apparent emotion. In the same measured hand she used to record tides and weather. Captain Renaud spoke again. The arrangement was maintained. The fleet continues. Marcus turned to the final entries. His mother's last ones, written 14 months before she died. Her handwriting had changed by then, shaking and cramped. But the words were clear. Marcus must not be told. If he knows before the reading, he will refuse. He is too much like his father. He asks too many questions. He needs to be standing inside the house before he understands, because by then the house will already have him. Marcus looked up from the ledger slowly. He looked at the walls around him. He looked at the ceiling, the windows, the door he had left half open behind him. The fog outside was fully pink now with early dawn light. He could hear very faintly, from somewhere beneath the kitchen floor, a sound he had mistaken for water in the pipes. It was not water in the pipes. It was low and resonant and patient, and it rose and fell in a rhythm that matched, beat for beat, the rhythm of the tide table printed on the final page of the ledger. And on that same final page, in his mother's shaking hand, was a list of names. The crew of the 8 boats that had just come back empty. All 8 men listed, and beside each name a date. Tonight's date. Marcus turned the ledger over in his hands and found, pressed flat between the back cover and the binding, a photograph he had never seen. A family portrait taken at this very kitchen table, his mother young and smiling, a man he did not recognize seated beside her, and behind them both, standing in the hallway where the darkness was deepest, a shape that was not human and was not small. That's it for part 2. Follow Untold Lores for part 3. Like and subscribe for daily stories.